in a song. Yeah, I know it's kinda late. I hope I didn't wake you, but there's something that I just gotta say. I know you'd understand. Every time I tried to tell you, the words just came out wrong. So I have to say I love you in a song.
Sounds funny, but I just can't stand the pain. Girl, I'm leaving you tomorrow. Seems to me, girl, you know I've done all I can. You see, I begged, stole, and I borrowed. Yeah. Ooh. Why I'm easy. I'm easy like Sunday morning. That's why I'm easy. I'm easy like Sunday morning. Put chains on me. Yeah. I'm paid my dues to make it. Everybody wants me to be what they want me to be. I'm not happy when I try to fake it. No. Ooh. That's why I'm easy. I'm easy like Sunday morning. That's why I'm easy. I'm easy like Sunday morning. I wanna be high, so high. I wanna be free to know the things I do are right. I wanna be free, just me, oh man.
My God, wake up, T West, the Chinese slave army. Wake up, T West. The Chinese got an army of slaves, robot slaves. It's over. You might have to nuke them. An army of slaves. I read some other shit about China earlier too, or yesterday. They can watch some video. They can turn their entire like civilian like workforce is like it can be quickly turned into like military. It's all military grade equipment, so they can easily like shift it over if they need to. Some crazy shit. China's got some crazy shit going on. Apparently, they've got brain computer chips militarized and deployed on a large scale at all military powers using base stations, radios, and nano brain computer chips to control all citizens. Oh my God, T West, get the gun, T West, get the gun, get the gun, T West. Get the gun, T West, please. Oh my God, look at this shit. As the brain computer interface and mind reading technology keeps developing, there is a new mode of crime. Some guy spent $1.3 million to post this, apparently, in which wild animals become puppets or complete slaves of the digital machine. There is a new mode of crime in which the victim is gradually deprived of the senses of desire until he becomes a complete slave to the digital machine. And if one day I become a victim of the final stage, I will leave the world. This guy gonna kill himself. They ain't getting him. Brain weapons. Get the gun. Get the goddamn gun. There's some serious shit going on. While you're worried about bullshit, there's some serious shit going on. Brain weapons are going on. While you're worried about who won the Super Bowl, you said we're watching the Super Bowl. The Chinese got brain implants in their head. There's 1 billion of them with brain implants in their head. Some serious shit. Your thoughts on it? Guy spent $1.38 million to post this. Why did he have to spend all that to post that? I don't understand. Where did he post this at? I don't know. I don't know. Seems like some marketing shit. Now that I think about it, seems like some company spent 1.38 million to do one of these little, what do they call them? And then they get these nerds to post about it. Everybody's posted about it, talking about it. It's like some marketing shit. It'll end up being for like a game or a movie or some bullshit, some television shit. Trading cards. Who the fuck knows anymore? Besides that, what else is going on? I haven't really looked at Twitter today. I don't know. I got on here, planes are crashing, falling out of the sky again. Look at this shit. Look at this. That's what I'm saying. Like, planes just keep crashing. Look at this shit.
Everything, drop it. Come on. Don't take your video. Put that phone right. On the right.
Look at that.
Fuck. Holy fuck. Holy fuck. Oh my fucking god. Yo, I was just on this fucking plane. Oh my god.
Yeah, I ain't been on a plane since I was a kid.
Yo, I was just on this fucking plane.
I've done it. I don't need to do it again, especially
Everything,
now.
drop it.
It ain't
Come on.
safe. These Democrats did something over the last 4 years. They really fucked it up. I wouldn't get on none of these planes. When you saw that crazy helicopter just slam into the fucking plane, like what the fuck was that? Speaking of what the fuck is going on, look at this shit. What is going on? What is going on? People out of their fucking mind. Look at this. Look at that white kid. Go back. This white kid. Look at him right here. Right there. Look at him. Look at this motherfucker. Look at him. He looks like he's about to fuck somebody up. Like he's just waiting on somebody to give the word. Like give the word and I'll start killing motherfuckers. Look at him. Insane. Look at this guy. Look at him. And then look at this maniac in front of him. People are out of their fucking minds. Look at that nerd. That guy right there in the back. God damn. He's got a lot of rage inside. Look at him. Man, they got the gay guy standing on the other side. Oh, so he's ready to beat up a fucking gay guy. That's what he was. He's fucking walking down the street like, I'll beat one of these motherfuckers. I'm ready. Love is love my ass. We're here. Look at this. Oh, he's got a gay flag. He's scared. Oh, what the fuck's going on? There. What in God's name is going on? Gay pride parade's over. If the gay shit's over with, you gotta realize it. it's going back in the closet, and you just got to accept it. That's a fair compromise at this point because you came out of the closet and you acted a fool. So now everyone's like, listen, you just go back in the closet with that. Just keep that to yourself. We don't want to hear about it. And the best thing you can do is go, all right, cool, and just move on. It's a solid solution to all of it. But if the transgenders just ain't gonna stop. The transgenders are gonna act a fool. They're gonna start. I mean, they're gonna get violent. They keep calling for violence. The transgenders out of their minds. I told you don't get saddled up with the transgenders. Look at that coughing, my God. My Lord. They got 58 managers. Oh yeah, if you live in Europe, you're fucking. I mean, this is a clown show. Europe. Look at this.
It's 6:01 on a Tuesday morning, and we were with state police as they raided this apartment in northwest Germany.
Is there anyone from Germany in here right now? I wonder if anyone from Germany watches. I doubt it. I feel like I'm not allowed in Germany. You can't even watch this shit. Germany's it's insane. Look at this shit.
Inside, 6 armed officers searched a suspect's home, then seized his laptop and cell phone. Prosecutors say those electronics may have been used to commit a crime. The crime, posting a racist cartoon online. At the exact same time, across Germany, more than 50 similar raids played out. Part of what prosecutors say is a coordinated effort to curb online hate speech in Germany.
They're in favor of this. Do you understand? They're in favor. They want
I mean,
to
you're going to
model
fucking
America's laws
prison.
after Europe's. 6 armed agents breaking into a home and stealing a man's laptop and his cell phone because he posted a cartoon on the internet. I'd almost like to see this
At the very
same
least, we're
segment
taking
with
the
CBS
laptop.
News.
We're taking
They're
the
going
phone.
around
You don't get
reveling
a
it,
phone. You don't get a
nonsense.
laptop.
This was a hate
Sit in there and
speech.
stare at the wall,
These
nerd.
computers were
Watch
used
the
to
TV,
put up
nerd.
illegal material on the internet, and they're like, yes,
Watch
wow,
the TV
so
like it's the
efficient the way you're
90s.
doing this. 50 raids
You
across
don't get
Germany.
the
That sounds
internet
like
no more.
it's a really big threat. So what exactly did they post? It's like, well, they were posting Jewish propaganda. They were posting pictures with the Star of David, the Hanukkah candles, menorah. These are illegal symbols. It's like, wait, I thought I was for this. Wait, I thought I was for this. No, wait, that sounds very Nazi-ish. But would it really look all that different if the Germans were Nazis today? Would what we just saw be any different except for what the content was? It's like you have this whole construct on this anti-Nazi principle, but you're violating those very principles in upholding the construct. Do you not get how this is utterly nonsensical? Makes no sense, even a little bit.
While other networks lie to you about what's happening now, InfoWars tells you the truth about what's happening next. InfoWars.com/go.
Go to the AlexJonesShow.com.
You're going to prison in Germany. I ain't fucking playing with you. I've seen another clip of them. It's not just Germany, though. It's all of Europe. They ain't fucking playing with you. You're going to watch your fucking mouth. And the government stole all the money and gave it away. I already knew that. I didn't need an audit to know that. I already knew it. I mean, duh. Duh, they've been stealing everything. That's why they're freaking out. Now we need to see. I want to see some people go to prison. Put them in prison. Fuck them. Fuck the norms. Put them in prison. Set some new norms. Your ass is going to prison. You see, he was at the Daytona 500. They was crying about that. They're the biggest fucking dorks in the world. Like, if we're trying to cut spending, why is Trump spending money to go to the? We're not gonna fund your goddamn gay parade anymore. Sorry, nerd. Sorry. Yes, that we consider that waste, and we're gonna cut that. We're not gonna fund that anymore. But we are gonna fund Trump at the Daytona 500. Get over it, nerd. Get over it. You won in 2020 and you got to fund gay marriages and gay little weddings and gay funerals and gay parades and gay theater shows and gay movies and gay superheroes. All kinds of gay shit. You had trannies topless on the White House lawn prancing around. You went wild. Now you lost. Now you got to deal with it. Now we're cutting that. We're taking the funding we were going to spend on the gay parade, and we're sending Trump today. He's going to fly the plane over the fucking racetrack. He's going to get in the car and drive it around the track, and that's what we're doing. Get the fuck over it. You lost. You fucking lost. Nobody gives a fuck. You're like, it's hypocrisy. You said you're going to cut spending. No. No, nerd. We said we were going to cut your fucking spending. That's what we fucking said. We didn't say nothing about cutting shit we want. We're cutting your shit. Get over it. All that shit they talked about 2020 when they won. All that shit they was talking. Now deal with it. You're getting fucking audited. I mean, they're so gay. They're like, I thought we were trying to cut waste. We're trying to cut. Oh, shut up, Harry. Shut up. We're going to cut your paycheck, Harry. We're going to eventually get to whoever in the government. Somebody's paying you. There's some money coming for the taxpayer somehow getting in your pocket. We're going to find it eventually. We're going to cut it. And then we'll know when we get it because you'll stop typing away. Everybody cried about their data. They still cried about that data. Well, so Elon's going to get your data. Oh my God, Elon's going to get it. Oh, shut up. I hope he gets it all. Cares. Rather Elon have my data than Joe fucking Biden have it. Or, I remember that there were so many people in there that was looking at our data. Remember that bald motherfucker that wore dresses and shit? He was looking at our data. Nobody seemed to care. And he's a fucking thief. He's a known thief. A known fucking thief. Trevor Noah wants to bring segregation back. See, everybody's just a giant fucking faggot. The country's so soft. The country's so dumb. Sitting on a fucking podcast. Like, these people got nothing better to do. Sitting on a podcast, yapping away about compatibility with this guy or that guy. Man, go do something. God damn, do something worth a damn. Nobody want to even listen to this shit. Nobody want to sit there and listen to you yap away about the race and we're not compatible. Having another discussion about race. How many discussions we gonna have about it? It's been discussed. You understand? It's been fucking discussed. You can move on from it. You can quit talking about it. Nobody cares anymore. Nobody gives a fuck anymore. And God, I'm so tired of listening to people crying about what a conservative is. That's not very conservative. Shut the fuck up. This is why you motherfuckers lose. Because you win the election and then you're like, well, we got some people that voted for Trump. We got to get rid of these people. We got to piss them off so they'll vote for somebody else. You can't just win and enjoy the victory. You got to be victims. You got to say, oh, yeah. Well, Elon's not a conservative. He's got a bunch of baby mamas. Meanwhile, Elon is like slashing the government. He's cutting all kinds of shit. He's literally shrinking the size of government. Something conservatives claim to be about, but he's literally doing it. But he's got a couple of baby mamas, so he's not conservative enough. No, he's getting these things done. Shut up. Who cares about any of that? He's getting things done. Things are getting done that you say you want to get done. Quit crying about the baby. Nope. What's that got to do with anything? What does having a bunch of baby mamas got to do with the policy that the motherfuckers have when they're in there? I keep saying it about Trump too. He's got all these baby mamas. Yeah, but what about the policies? What about what he's doing? Is what he's doing conservative or is it liberal? Like, cares how many baby mamas he's got? Gives a fuck. Fuck does that got to do with anything? What a weird fucking thing criteria to vote for the president. And Elon's like getting all this shit done, and they're like crying about it. They're like, oh, Elon knocked that girl up. Oh, it's terrible. It's fucking terrible. Who cares? By the way, nobody actually cares. Nobody gives a fuck. People's way past all that bullshit. Where a guy's got to like resign and stop what he's doing because oh my god, we got a scandal. No, there's no scandal. Nobody cares. Nobody cares if some fucking billionaire got some girl pregnant. He can clearly afford it. I mean, who cares? Who gives a shit? Where's the victim here? What are we worried about here? Nobody gives a shit. Nope, you're still getting audited. Get the fuck over it. When are these liberals gonna realize that? When are these dumb fuck liberals? When are you gonna accept it? Nobody cares. The dumb fucking conservatives too. Nobody cares that some guy is not some holier than thou conservative guy. Get over it. That's why they lose, because they want some guy like Mitt Romney. And Mitt Romney loses to everybody. Mitt Romney gets his ass whooped. Mitt Romney be over there standing with Ukraine. They're crying about that too. They're like, oh my God. The fucking Prime Minister of Britain is sending your ass over there. He's sending you over there. Prime Minister of fucking Britain said he stands with Ukraine and he'll take if the US pulls out, he'll stand. He's ready to send troops now. The men of Great Britain will fight and die for Ukraine. Ukraine will not back down. That's what's going to happen here. Is Trump's going to I mean, this is how insane these people are. Trump's going to be trying to end this war and you're gonna see like Great Britain, you're gonna see these other countries like do some weird, stupid shit. They're gonna be like deploying troops or some fucking goofy ass shit. And then Trump's just gonna pull out of NATO. It's they want this war so fucking bad. Like, let it go, bro. Let it go. Let it end. They're like Trump's a coward. If it's just like I don't even, bro. Nobody cares about any of that bullshit. They're like a bunch of like fucking little kids or something. That's what these people are. That's where they're at now. It's very childish, the talking points. Like, who gives a fuck about, just end the war? These people are killing each other. Like, it's just nonstop death. And it's not, Ukraine's not going to win in the long run. Like, you can keep just fighting and fighting and fighting. And if you send British troops, I mean, you just escalate the war. I mean, why would you even do that? Why would you want to escalate the war and then more death, more death? Now British troops dying. What's the point? And these people are like in some type of fantasy, like they're in a movie. They're like, oh, Putin's going to take over. He's going to take over all of Europe if we don't do something. Now, they're insane. But if you believe that, then yes, go ahead and send your troops. We're not, why do we got to fight? I don't want to fight them. Why should we want to protect Europe? These people are fucking busy busting in the house, arresting the motherfucker for posting a meme, taking his laptop and shit. Why the fuck I care about them? Why I want to fight for them? I'm not fighting for them. I'm not fighting for Ukraine. We ain't doing it. We ain't fucking doing it. They try to come over here, then we'll fight them. Until then, out of their minds. So get ready, people of United Kingdom. Get ready. There's some of you in here. You probably don't type in the chat because you're scared to get arrested for typing in it. But get ready, you're going to fucking Ukraine. You're going. You got to stand up now. Biden's gone, so now you got to stand up. And it's what you get. It's what you voted for. You voted for this goof. How do you keep fucking this up? How do you keep voting for the fucking retard? Some fucking tough guy. Why is Mayor Pete trending? Fuck are y'all over here doing with Mayor Pete? If you run Mayor Pete, god damn. I can't wait for 2028 with all the fucking gay ass Democrats coming out of the woodwork. He'll run too. He'll try to run. He'll have a little campaign. They're not voting for some gay dude. It's over. It's over. Why is he trending though? Are they just shitting on him? Is that why he's trending? He ran his mouth about something. Look at these people. These people are delusional. They're delusional. They're delusional. Stand by. Stand back. Stand by. I didn't put Techie in those shadow realm. If he's there, who knows why he's there? Let him stay there.
Hey internets. So one authoritarian leftist scam that is older than anybody watching this
Oh my
video
God,
right
there's a
now
massive
is to pretend to
snowstorm
care about
apparently
liberty and
coming on
freedom, but
Wednesday.
only when it benefits their political agenda.
It's gonna be
Which in the
chaos
modern
in
day
that store
translates
tomorrow.
to the
People buying
hilarious
every
phenomenon of lefties making arguments that
They're gonna
contradict
buy
all
every
of their
egg, every
previous
gallon of milk in
arguments
that
whenever
bitch.
there's an R in the White House. And
I
by
wonder how bad it's
authoritarian
gonna
left, I
be.
of course mean anybody from just outright blatant communists, people who will actually identify as communist, to more DNC bureaucratic midwit class apologists who try to maintain the facade of believing in a free market, but they don't really believe it, and are effectively just socialist light. And they will pull this grift, this little scam of pretending to care about liberty and freedom, or pretending to understand that taxation is either theft or at the very least inefficient. They will act like they care about these things, when in fact a very simple analysis proves that they really don't care about it at all. But first, this video has no sponsor, but because the topic of today's video is very similar to what I've been talking about before in taxation, I'll be extending my taxation is theft merch store sale, at least until my next high-octane fully edited video, which will be this month. And it's gonna be one of those videos. But yeah, you can support my content by buying some taxation is theft gear at a very reasonable price. Anyways, to put it another way, leftists will often pretend to be libertarians, in any instance when they do not have their hands on the levers of power. So they will pretend to dislike certain things based purely on principles and based on an understanding of why those things do not work, when really they're just mad that their preferred bureaucrats are not the one pulling the levers of the market. Because again, they don't really believe in the free market. Rather, they believe in a mixed market command economy where their preferred bureaucrats and party loyalists have the power to dictate and shape the market with the threat of force from the government for those who do not comply, in ways that ensure that they stay in power. And you might be wondering what the heck I'm waffling on about here. Well, here's a very simple recent example. Trump's tariffs. This is something that those of us more on the libertarian right, those of us who actually do care about the free market, have been pointing out for a while now isn't actually a good idea. And while you could make the argument that Trump isn't actually implementing most of these tariffs, and that most of the time he's just using it to negotiate a more free trade deal, the reality is you still have to accept the fact that tariffs are not good economic policy, and that if Trump were to actually implement the severe tariffs that he's constantly threatening, then it would not actually be a good thing. See, the problem with tariffs really just goes back to the concept of tax incidence, something I went over in one of my previous videos on taxing the rich. You see, the problem with taxing the rich is that you can't tax the rich. Not just out of some ethical reason, but because it's very, very difficult to just tax the rich in a way that it doesn't get passed to somebody else. And this is because of the economic reality of tax incidence. So what actually happens is that, depending on supply and demand, the burden of the taxation either goes to the producer or to the consumer, depending on which one is more elastic. And because supply and demand are constantly going up and down all over the place, this effectively means that everyone ends up sharing the burden of taxation in some way or another, regardless of who or what the government is actually taxing, which means that eventually it gets passed to the consumer. It's very, very difficult to tax a sector of the economy or a group
About
of
3 to
people
6
while
inches of
ensuring that
fucking
that specific
snow.
group of people or that sector of
My
the economy
God.
is the one that actually ends up paying the tax burden. For example, if you were to raise taxes on hardware stores,
Give me
there's
all that
very little
money.
you can do to prevent hardware stores from simply raising the prices on their goods and thus passing the burden of the taxation onto the consumer. Or in the case of, again, the example of taxing the rich, it doesn't work because most business owners happen to be rich and thus have a very high level of economic maneuverability. And so what happens oftentimes when you try to tax the rich is they'll just shift the costs within their business around until either their employees are paying the burden of that taxation or customers of the goods and services that their business is producing end up paying the burden of that taxation. This is one of the basic problems with taxation. The state can really only control how hard the hammer falls, but they can't really control upon who that hammer falls. Because taxation is a non-voluntary action, that it's extracted from people by coercion, or in other words, taxation is theft, when people get taxed, they have no choice but to budget that taxation, despite the fact that there's no real immediate benefit to business. And so taxation really just adds to the cost of production and services. That's its net effect on the economy anyway. And when it comes to tariffs, well, tariffs are really just another form of taxation. I've been seeing a lot of mostly boomer conservative types thinking that tariffs are some kind of magical way to force another country to pay their fair share or something. It's hilariously the same argument that leftists use in favor of taxing the rich, which is a fallacy for much of the same reasons, and one of those big reasons being tax incidence. All tariffs really do is just place taxation on international trade. So it's a tax that gets levied whenever you import or export goods or services. Usually goods, though, in the case of tariffs. So when Trump says that he is going to place a tariff on a country, it just means that he wants to tax the goods as they're coming into the United States from that country. And that's a problem, again, because of tax incidence. Let's just use maple syrup as an example, because that's kind of the funny thing that people always associate Canada for. So let's say before the tariff, a jar of maple syrup costed $10, imported from Canada straight to the United States grocery store shelves. And let's just say that a 20% tariff is now placed on Canada. What is going to happen? And well, two problems happen actually. The first is that the company that creates the maple syrup can simply increase the price of their product. So they can simply increase the cost of their maple syrup jar to $12.30, and they'll still see roughly the same profits from the people buying the product, which means that the consumer buying their product in America is actually the one that pays the price of the tariff, or to be more specific, the economic burden of the tariff. And the country of Canada, or whatever the heck that's supposed to mean, is not paying the cost of that tariff. On paper, sure, they're paying the cost of the tariff, but in reality, in practice, they're really not. That, in a nutshell, is how tax incidence applies to this specific scenario. And it's actually even worse than you realize, because let's say there's an American competitor to Canada's maple syrup that was also selling it for $10. Since their competitor has raised their prices, why can't they also raise their prices? In other words, there's no guarantee that the made in the United States or made in home country product will also stay at the same price. This is another very big problem with tariffs, because tariffs are artificially increasing the costs of certain goods depending on where those goods come from. Competition will often just net increase their products as well. That's what tends to usually happen. However, there's other things that can also happen that are also bad. Depending on how the market's going, they might just not sell the maple syrup anymore. Sometimes the market will just pull out entirely, and so then you end up with a supply issue, which then ends up costing people in more indirect ways. Depending on the profit margins, they might not even be willing to produce at a higher cost anyways. And so you see products becoming more expensive across the board. Or in other words, tariffs lead to a net increase in CPI. The prices you pay at the store will on average go up when tariffs are implemented. And that's again for goods on average, not just the goods that get tariffed. And this net effect on consumer price index has been pretty well known. The causal link has been proven over and over and over again. But anyways,
What game
what's
is he?
happening
Is that Mega Man?
This influencer or debate bros are kind of jumping on this. They're basically pretending to dislike tariffs on principle for the reasons that tariffs are actually bad. For example, look at this clip from Destiny.
Tariff relief. When people try something repeatedly and it still doesn't work, they should stop doing it,
Oh,
especially
yes,
when the consequences turn out to be just what conservative economists have long predicted they would be. With tariffs, the proper reform is not only to get rid of the individual tariffs that have backfired, but also to build institutional safeguards against future abuse. We are 5 years into the biggest experiment with tariffs since the Great
Destiny's
Depression.
just
and the
reading
results are
somebody
in.
else's
The new
shit.
tariffs raise consumer
He's
prices for
smart.
ordinary Americans by about
It's like, I
$1,200
know all
per
about
household
tariffs.
per year, and benefit
I'm gonna
only a
read this
small number
paper
of
here.
special interests. Yes, this is what tariffs do. Even Project 2035 people realize this.
Now, you may have noticed that Destiny said even the Project 2025 people realize this, as if a dislike of tariffs haven't been a right-wing economic position for a very, very, very long time. It's like he's pretending that this is some kind of leftist principled position, and yet we can very clearly see that it's not, because Destiny, again, the same guy, later tweets this little cringe video from Arnold Schwarzenegger about why taxing the rich is totally good. It's not a punishment, it totally works, it just does, man, which makes absolutely no sense, because they're bad for the same reason. Tariffs get passed to the consumer for the same reason taxing the rich gets passed to the consumer. In fact, pretty much all versions of taxation eventually get passed to the consumer, to be honest. That's the problem. What taxation does is it extracts money from the free market and it gives it to the government. And it has been proven time and time again that the government spends that money less efficiently than the private sector does. That's a lot of what DOGE has actually been uncovering lately. This discovery that much of our tax dollars really doesn't actually benefit us at all. It just goes for things like paying for DNC influence peddling, such as in the case of US aid. And thus the logic flows, the principled argument flows, that therefore taxation should be reduced as much as we possibly can reduce it, until we can reach a point where taxation is no longer necessary for society to function, period. And that is the logical conclusion that libertarians take with taxation. Taxation is theft from the productive sectors of the economy to non-productive sectors of the economy. The absolute best case scenario argument you can possibly put forth in favor of taxation is therefore trying to claim that it is a necessary evil. Whether or not the self-made man exists is in fact completely irrelevant to the taxation question. The hammer will fall wherever, regardless of whether it's the rich being taxed or tariffs being imposed on trade. And so while normally leftists suddenly making arguments against certain forms of taxation would be considered a good thing, the unfortunate reality is they clearly don't actually believe the arguments that they're making. They're just butthurt that it's coming from a guy that they don't like in the White House, because let's just be totally honest for a moment. If it was still Biden or if it was Kamala, and either of them were trying to implement tariffs and they used a more leftist argument that tariffs are a way to get international rich big companies to pay their fair share, let's not kid ourselves. The same lefties would absolutely be simping for these tariffs. Yeah, man, tax the big corporations totally won't just get passed down to the consumer. That is absolutely the argument that they'd be making. And we know that they would be making that argument because, again, they still make the argument. Ask any of them to extend the same logic against tariffs to taxing the rich, and they will immediately go back on their argument. Because they, again, don't actually believe it. In other words, they're unironically trying to argue that tax incidence either magically stops existing or magically starts existing, depending entirely on whether or not it suits their political narrative, for the moment. And we can really see that this is in fact the fallacy that they're going for. For example, take a look at this post from STL. Trump has repeatedly suggested that income tax should be abolished and replaced with tariffs. That would destroy the U.S. economy. Rising prices would reduce incomes by 5% on average, 8% for poorest Americans, and would benefit the rich but only by hurting the least. And then he has this nifty little graph. Now, when you actually look at this graph and look at the study and read the study, you'll quickly find out that there's a very big problem with STL's reasoning here. Let's look at the study. Can you spot the issue here? Oh, it says right here that tax cuts are assumed to only affect those paying positive federal income taxes. In other words, the reasoning assumes that, again, tax incidence doesn't exist for taxing the rich. It's just the rich that pays those taxes, because tax incidence magically does not exist when it comes to the topic of taxing the rich. And then, by the same magical phenomenon, tax incidence magically becomes a real economic phenomenon when we're talking about tariffs. This is some incredibly flawed reasoning here, and it's kind of sad because the Peterson Institute for International Economics has actually in the past put out some decent studies, but this one is a pretty solid L. For example, it makes the assumption that you can't replace the income tax with tariffs because that's not enough money coming in. Okay, hear me out. Protectionism isn't good, but there's a very simple way that you can replace the income tax with protectionism and have it be at least better than the current status quo. What if you replace the income tax with tariffs, but then reduce government spending by that amount and reduce the government agencies by that amount by utilizing the afuera strategy popularized by Javier Milei? It's like they're completely missing the point of this suggestion of replacing the income tax with tariffs. It's not about thinking that tariffs are better than income tax, because honestly they're both bad. It's about reducing the size and scope of government. And again, assuming that this only affects net taxpayers, but then correctly identifying that tariffs do get passed down to the consumer is just ridiculous. Tax incidence is a thing for both the income tax and for tariffs. Income taxes can also get passed down to the consumer just the same. But the point I'm really making here is that this is actually all part of a much bigger scam. And people on the libertarian right need to especially be aware of this scam, because I'm seeing some libertarians come with a really bad strategy of thinking that the correct way to deal with this current narrative going around is to join the leftists who are speaking out against why tariffs are bad in attacking the conservative Republicans who are supporting Trump in the tariffs. And I don't really think that's something that we should be doing, because again, the leftoids don't really actually believe the arguments that they're making. And if you look into a lot of Republicans, you'll find out that a lot of them actually do know why tariffs aren't actually good. A lot of Republicans are fully aware of the fact that tariffs get passed down to the consumer, and they'll instead make the defense that Trump is just using the tariffs as a way of getting other countries to do what he wants them to do. And so correct libertarian strategy would actually be to call out the inconsistency. Tell the far left to extend the same logic against tariffs to taxing the rich and other tax programs that they want. Call out their lies. Just because they appear to be using an argument that we sort of agree with doesn't really mean that they actually believe that argument. It doesn't mean that they've suddenly become become a libertarian. They're just butthurt over the fact that Orange Man is in office.
Game
They
is
would absolutely
this?
be defending tariffs if
Fucking
Canada
game is this,
never
freaky?
decided to start doing tariffs, as evidenced by the fact that their current reasoning on tariffs and taxation is just completely inconsistent and totally self-contradictory. And so those of us on the libertarian right should be calling out those contradictions and calling out the hypocrisy, and using it to prove that they don't really understand or believe what they're saying. And for Republicans, we really just need to keep explaining to them why protectionism isn't actually good, and that the only effective idea of this strategy that Trump seems to be going with would only really make sense if he also greatly reduced the function of government. Both protectionism and income taxes are bad, but if Trump were to remove the income tax entirely, if he were to abolish the income tax, Trump would honestly be one of the best presidents in our lifetime. It would be an absolutely monumental achievement to abolish the income tax, even if it was replaced with protectionism, which again is also not good. But if it came with a reduction in government alongside it, that would be fantastic. And I think a good portion of Republicans might actually be in a position where they're willing to listen to that reasoning. So very good opportunity here, and libertarians shouldn't blow it by saying, oh, actually the lefties are right now. Because technically, yes, the far lefties are right when they're saying that tariffs are bad, but again, it's also pretty obvious that they're only saying that because Orange Man bad. Because this phenomenon of outright socialists suddenly taking the libertarian right side against protectionism is, let's just be honest here, it's coming entirely from a place of TDS, Trump derangement syndrome. It's not actually coming from a genuine understanding of economics. And that's why for the rest of this video, I kind of want to focus on just this scam in general. Where does this scam of people who have socialist beliefs suddenly pretending to have libertarian right beliefs come from? What is the real goal of this scam? What's actually happening here when we see a socialist suddenly agreeing with a Mises Caucus libertarian on specific policies, particularly when their guy isn't sitting on the throne? What really causes this phenomenon? It's such a common scam that even some of the outright anarcho-communists or anarcho-syndicalists, like the Bush crowd, have even tried adopting the label of libertarian for themselves, and will then use that label to try and conflate their ideas with freedom, even though their ultimate
Archo
praxis is to vote
communist.
for more
Like, get a
government.
fucking
Why do they
life. Get
do
some
this?
pussy.
Why are the communists so
Good
strangely
fucking lord.
obsessed with pretending to be us? Or in the case of the more useful idiot communists, or the philosophically illiterate communists, as I like to call them, the ones who genuinely believe that communism is the way to a free society, as a result of them not understanding that the logical conclusions of communist philosophy is a centrally planned command economy, aka a brutal dictatorship. Why do they engage in this bizarre act of self-deception? And the answer is very simple, really. It's all about power, and it's a strategy to achieve that power by effectively gaslighting the normies, and in some cases even gaslighting themselves. And it starts with a libertarian white pill of sorts. And that white pill is the realization that there's a lot more people who are amicable to libertarian ideas than you might think. And the authoritarian left kind of knows this. They might not ever admit it, not even to themselves, but they kind of know it. And it's been proven, actually. For example, the Advocates for Self-Government's political compass test has generally revealed that a lot more people are libertarian than they realize. And some people may argue, oh, well, the Advocates for Self-Government, they're a libertarian organization, so they're just biased in favor of libertarians. And that's the reason why their test reveals more people to be libertarians than originally thought, or more so than other tests. But if you actually go through their test, it's really not. All it does is just go through various sectors of society and ask you whether or not you believe the government should be involved in those sectors of society. What it really reveals is that people generally prefer to make their own decisions. They don't like having some midwit bureaucrat lording over them, pulling levers, and putting red tape everywhere, all with the backing of government aggression and violence in order to force people to do what the bureaucrat wants. Very few people actually like this system. They've just been gaslit into thinking that there's no other way. Gaslit into thinking that we somehow need all these bureaucrats pulling their little levers and using the state to force people to do what they want. Because if we don't let them do that, then society will somehow fall apart. But very few people actually like this concept. At a best case scenario, people view it as a necessary evil. So a lot of people are, at absolute worst, a minarchist than a lot of us in society realize. And so there's a bit of a white pill in here as well, in realizing that a lot of people already have some libertarian values. A lot of people already prefer libertarian thinking. And the authoritarians kind of know this. And so that's why we're seeing a lot of really bizarre narratives suddenly coming out in the last couple weeks. For example, a lot of Democrat politicians are putting forth these really bizarre spin jobs against DOGE, claiming that Elon Musk has somehow taken over the US government, such as in the case of putting a freeze on US aid. When, of course, in reality, all DOGE is doing is just trying to find ways to reduce government and government spending and government overreach. DOGE, from what I've seen, isn't really doing much in terms of creating new government. It's just removing the bureaucrats from their levers, and they don't like that. And so they have to spin job the whole narrative as if Elon Musk has somehow installed himself as a dictator. They need to gaslight the populace, gaslight the normies into thinking that there's some kind of totalitarian dictatorship being installed in place. So instead of being honest and saying that DOGE took away their funding to pull their levers, they instead word it as a billionaire has taken over the United States government, which is of course a stereotypical midwit take, in that it is only correct on a very pedantic but overall false level. It's true that DOGE has been given some authority in US government, but to say that it's taken over the government is an extreme journo spin job. But the thing is, a lot of DNC politicians fully know well that if they were honest about the subject, if they actually told the whole truth, then nobody would care about their whining. They need to spin it as things of nobody elected Elon Musk or something like that. They need to trick the people into thinking that DOGE is somehow ushering in some kind of totalitarian dictatorship, when in reality it's mostly just uninstalling bureaucrats. And so the politicians basically pretend to be libertarian, pretend to be fighting for people's freedoms, because they know that otherwise they'll lose their power and no one will care. And so they, along with their media allies, have to carefully construct a very strange narrative that cleverly obfuscates what's actually going on and rewording it in ways that makes the people who are reading these journalist hit pieces think that their freedoms are being taken away. They have to pretend to take a pro-liberty position. Here's an example hit piece to refute, just to show you what I mean. We'll take this article from MSNBC, which is a news organization that's fairly well known with their fairly close ties to the DNC. They barely even try to hide the fact that they're basically just a DNC state media proxy. And as a result of that, from them we have this wonderful, brilliant article. Musk wants to run the government like he runs X. That's bad news for Americans. From top mind of the internet's Chris Hayes. Oh boy. So right off the bat, the headline is already pretty deceptive and filled with half-truths. Musk wants to? How does Hayes even know this? Does he have some kind of magical mind-reading device into the mind of Musk? And running the government. DOGE isn't running the government. It's best understood as a third-party audit for the purpose of trimming the fat. I mean, sure, having an agency that is able to abolish certain aspects of the government can pedantically be called having control over the government or running the government, but it's not realistically true. The way this article is worded, it's almost like it's trying to say that Musk has been installed as the new dictator for life of the United States of America, which is not true at all. But it doesn't matter. It's worded this way to trick people into thinking that they're going to be losing their freedoms, when in reality it's just bureaucrats mad that they're losing power. And in many ways it just kind of relies on a false dichotomy fallacy. This idea that if a bureaucrat is removed, then you have to be putting another bureaucrat in his place, when in reality it's entirely possible in many cases for the bureaucratic position to just be removed entirely and replaced with nothing. However, there are some cases where DOGE is not doing this. DOGE is mostly either abolishing positions or replacing them. And so what this article is really doing is it's relying on the fact that sometimes they're being replaced and focus only on that, to then try and spin it as if there's a takeover of the United States government and people are losing their freedoms. And you can see this in just the obvious emotionally loaded language here. The billionaire is acting like we can do whatever he wants, like we don't have a constitution or laws in this country, just him. There is, of course, no specific facts that he's citing here. It's entirely just loaded language and weasel words. If we click on the article that he's citing and go into this little hyperlink, it is a opinion article from Zashin